So you got a new job. You're gonna do rebar. You don't know what it is. They give you a piece of paper. They tell you get these tools. This is exactly what happened to me. Now, what also happened to me is I got a load of wrong tools that I spent my money on, brought to the job site and was told it's trash, don't get it. So I'm gonna take you guys through exactly what you're going to need when you go into rebar at the very simplest level. So the first thing when you step onto the job site is you're gonna wanna consider what type of belt you're gonna need. Are you gonna need a deck belt or are you gonna need a harness? A harness is gonna suspend you and keep you safe from falling. However, if you're not gonna be up in the air, all you will need is a deck belt. This is for situations such as slab on grade, post tensioning, just anything where you don't need to be off the ground. Now, this right here is a canvas belt. Now, some people get a leather one because they're just of a higher quality. However, I personally don't like those because they stretch and my weight varies very widely. I could weigh 200 pounds, I could weigh 250 pounds, and the leather belt just does not keep a standard size because it is always changing. If you're in the cold, the belt will shrink. As you start to work, it will start to expand, and if you're always in the heat, it will expand it even more. The next thing you will need is a wire reel. Now, a wire reel just holds your wire that you will be tying rebar with. This is very simple, and I recommend the Klein one because it is the best and everybody else on the job site will too. There are other brands that make these. They might be plastic, they might be of a different metal. However, I don't recommend those. They are trash. I've seen them on the job site. They break easily. And honestly, this one breaks easily too. And you will not get around that no matter what product you get. However, this is the best wire reel you can get on the market. Now, this part is optional, but I like to put a wire reel pad. Now, this keeps the reel from moving around on your belt. It will also keep the wire from dragging up against your pants and against the belt. The wire is covered in grease, so it'll make your pants very brittle and tear much easier. So the next thing you're gonna need is a bolt bag. Now, I recommend getting a canvas bolt bag because they stay open much more than leather ones. With leather bolt bags, when you put stuff in it, it'll weigh it down and it'll close up the holes such as this one. This is exactly what I got when I very first started rebar. The problem is that when you put stuff in it, the weight will close the bag. And you don't want that because you don't want to waste any time fishing around in there, trying to find stuff, trying to push the bag around. You want to be able to put your hand in as fast as possible, get whatever you need as fast as possible, and pull it out and put it back in. A leather one will make this whole process much more time consuming, which is losing money for your company, which is a reason for the company to fire you. Next thing that you will need on your tool belt is your scabbard. Now, this is where personalization really comes into play because every single person has their own system, has their own tools on what to use. However, at the very simplest level, this is what you will need. It is just a 4-pocket scabbard made from Klein, and it will last you maybe as long as your whole career. And so what you're gonna be putting inside that scabbard are these 4 things. First, we have your side cutting pliers or dikes. And these are very standard. There's no wiggle room no matter where you are on what these are. These are 9-inch side cutting pliers. They're standard. You're gonna wanna put WD-40 on the insides to lube it up and make sure that they're super easy to use. I don't have it lubed up right now, but when you're on the job site, you definitely want it to be very greased up. Next thing are your pliers. Now, there are a lot of different pliers on the market. However, these ones I will swear by. These are the Klein 9-inch pliers, and the big reason why you want these is because of the teeth. The teeth are very jagged and very big. There are some pliers with fine teeth that just aren't as good, and you want your pliers to grip the wire as best as possible. The next thing you're gonna want is your keel. This is just a fancy crayon. It's just to mark things, pretty self-explanatory. The next thing you're gonna want is a wrench. Now, Normally, they want you to get a 12-inch crescent wrench. However, those are very heavy and wrenches just are not very practical for rebar. You only use them for two things. You use them to put together and break down a torch, and you use them to change wheels on a chop saw. And so the big reason why I choose this is a 9-inch adjustable spud wrench. And this is lighter than your typical crescent wrench, and it has this sharp tip. The reason why you want this sharp tip is so that it is easier to stab stuff. You could put it into smaller places and pry things open. So I recommend a 9-inch adjustable spud wrench. The next thing you're gonna need is your knife. This is standard across all construction. You will always need a knife on the job site. You never know what situation you may be in where you need to cut something, where you need to free someone's limb from somewhere. You will always need a knife. But for rebar specifically, you want a hook knife. Now this is specific to rebar because when you're doing post-tensioning, you will want this to cut off sheathing off of cables. Of course, you're gonna need your measuring tape. Now the big thing with the measuring tape, and this is where you're gonna wanna invest some good money, is the reach on it. This one can reach about 9 feet, which is very good. The reason why you want it to reach so far is so that you don't have to move. Whenever a tape can move farther than what you physically can, that's better because you will be more efficient on the job site. Now, these are all the tools you will need stepping onto the job site. This is the simplest and most realistic tool setup that you will need. And I personally like this setup. There will be other journeymen and foremen who will tell you you should have this and that tool, and frankly, their points are valid. However, at the simplest level, this is everything that you will need. Thanks for clocking in. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Comments and questions down below, and I'll catch you guys next time.